In our last episode, we took a look at some of my favorite stages on the Sega Genesis. We visited the ship in Streets of Rage, appreciated its backgrounds, and fought a killer set of twins. We ran down an exploding mountain in Strider, only to end up on a giant battleship full of things trying to cut us to shreds. We got to see an exotic waterfall in the Revenge of Shinobi, complete with death-defying jumps and flying ninja. We explored Atlantis, a water sanctuary that was guarded by a giant golem in Castlevania Bloodlines. eSWAT took us into the sewers, where an evil terrorist organization was building its secret weapon. We also fought our way across a bridge in Shadow Dancer, as the smooth water below showed off the impressive abilities of the Genesis. And speaking of water, we did battle on the world of Stripe, yet another killer entry in the Thunder Force series. Gotham City Streets showed up for viewing, the start of an epic adventure for the Cape Crusader himself. Mickey Mouse was a surprise addition, a stage set in a giant library, which itself contained various different worlds. Even the little blue blur got represented with Marble Zone, an area I always personally loved, but is often seen in a far less glamorous light by its fandom. But that was only 10 games, and there was no way that was gonna be enough to do justice to this great system. That's why I'm back with 10 more stages I really loved on the old Genesis. So sit back and get ready for more quality 16-bit experiences. In my previous episode, I covered stages I really enjoyed in both Shadow Dancer and The Revenge of Shinobi, so it's only fair that I added Shinobi III to this one. There's a whole lot to like in this excellent title. I mean, it's one of the best on the Genesis after all, but it's stage 4 on the Jet board that I always love the most. I know, more water, but it's got everything I love in a 16-bit scene. Lots of parallax scrolling in the background, a killer musical selection playing, and of course that gameplay that ties it all together in a perfect package of replayability. There had already been a great stage on horseback that played similar, but this one was faster and had better music. Explosive mines and junk in the water need to be avoided while enemies come out to ruin your day. The second half of this stage has you climbing around pipes and is fun as well, but nothing beat the presentation of this first half. So many great memories here, and I play it often even now. Sonic 2 is perhaps my favorite in the series. It had the looks, the sounds, and the gameplay that make it stand out as one of Sonic's best adventures. And it's full of high-quality stages where any one of them could be featured here. When I think of my favorite, however, I gotta go with Aquatic Ruin. Not only does it feature that incredibly memorable music, but it's just a beautiful stage in general. So much color, so much going on in the backgrounds. It's just one of those areas where you can just stand there for a while and take in all the sights and sounds. It's almost as if someone mixed a few different stages together into the perfect Sonic zone. The gameplay here has a few different paths to explore, some hidden spots, and lots of high-speed sections to enjoy. There are some water sections to slow you down, but stay on higher ground and you can avoid most of it. The encounter at the end with Dr. Robotnik is a slow fight, but classic Sonic, and it's a great end to a nearly perfect stage. Much like Part 2, Sonic 3 is loaded with great moments. It's another one where you could fill up a favorite stages video with just levels from it alone. But it's Ice Cap Zone that gets the nod. Right from the get-go, this is a winning combination of technical design and artistic inspiration. Sonic comes in snowboarding at high speed, shredding it like a superhero on a mission to save the world. The music that kicks in is some of the best in the game, pumping you up and making you want to see this adventure through to the very end. The stages themselves seem slow at first, but a bit of practice and you'll keep moving at a pretty good speed. There's some great line scrolling in the background and the parallax really ramps up underground. The second part of the stage is even faster, which really helps keep the fun factor going strong. The weakest part of this great area are the boss encounters, which are not nearly as well done as the stage itself. No matter, there is enough greatness in Ice Cap's design to carry it just based on the journey alone. Ranger X was a unique Genesis action game that was loaded with great set pieces, visual effects, and some pretty frantic run and gun gameplay. There are a number of great stages here, and I almost picked a few others because this offers up so much. But when it came right down to it, I chose Stage 3, the Jungle. This one is loaded to the brim of great visual touches. The parallax in the trees, the sunlit upper section that is opposite of the darker low section beneath the tree line, birds that fly out when you disturb the leaves, and of course you have air support thanks to EOS, your AI-driven partner. Enemies are pretty much non-stop, so you don't get a lot of time to soak in all those beautiful touches, but so is the Ranger X experience. It's a tough but rewarding adventure that really has no equal on the platform. The developer of this went under shortly after its release, but man, I wish Sega had made a Saturn sequel for it. If there ever was a run and gun that could have survived the 32-bit era in 2D, I think this one would have been it. Streets of Rage 2 was a monster. So many Sega Genesis fans have so many memories with this, it often shows up on best of lists for just about everyone. Whether it was the beach, the ship, the baseball stadium, or any number of other areas within the game, they all were really well done and well worth a nomination here. But it's the amusement park of Streets of Rage 2 that I enjoyed the most. I mean seriously, let's do a quick rundown of all the sights and sounds you'll see in this one area. You start out kicking butt in the park itself. As you bash heads and punch faces, you'll stroll past carnival rides before entering an arcade to continue the fight. From there, you'll enter a pirate ship that sways back and forth with a warping background. Back out in the park, you'll then enter an alien attraction that looks like something out of a Ridley Scott flick, complete with exploding eggs and some weirdo that has dual Freddy Krueger gloves and a Don King wig. Of course, you can't talk about anything in Streets of Rage 2 and not mention the soundtrack. This one is set to the selection known as Dreamer, one of the better tunes to grace this outstanding OST. This stage is a winner, start to finish. As you all know, Contra on the Genesis was not a linear experience. At various points you could choose your path and get different endings. Add in the incredible audio and visual presentation, and this made for such a great game. Like other titles in this episode, there are a number of stages here that could easily win a spot in this video, but we're gonna go with the stage known as Air Combat. This starts off with some very nice line scrolling effects that transitions you to hanging from an aircraft dodging enemies and shooting them out the sky. But the real threat comes when you blast off into the clouds, your perspective twisting and turning as you hold on for dear life. This is an incredible looking sequence that really shows off the brute force power of that 68,000 in the Genesis. You get some great software related animations that mimic scaling and rotation effects that come off looking spectacular. After a crash landing and some story related conversations, you quickly find yourself locked in a room with a massive boss trying to kill you. It's a short but action-packed area that I really enjoyed. If looks and sounds could kill, none of us would have ever finished this game. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. I'm not a big fan of Super Street Fighter II on the Genesis. Oh, it plays great, but I really feel Capcom could have done a better job with this one. The music is a steep downgrade from Special Champion Edition, and frankly, for a massive 40 megabit cartridge, I can't believe they didn't fix the voice samples. As homebrew patches have proven, a proper Z80 PCM audio driver could produce vastly superior results than what was shown here. There's also some simple color hacks out there that bring it much closer to the arcade original. Capcom never really gave the Genesis its best work, and I always felt this could have, and should have, been a much better experience, particularly since it retailed for an astounding $70 at its release. But for all the grief I give it, I absolutely loved Cammy Stage. This bridge scene is set against the English countryside, complete with the northern lights and the night sky above. Old castle-style architecture adorns the immediate area, and of course there is the sexy sprite of Cammy herself. Pyron's recolor of this is even better if you ever get a chance to check it out.
Round 1, fight!
Midnight Resistance was the Contra for the Genesis before there was actually a Contra on it. Developed by Data East and a port of the arcade game of the same name, I came to love this unconventional running gun quite a bit. I think most of my appreciation for it stemmed from its incredible soundtrack, a booming anthem of just how good FM sound could be. My favorite of these tracks was Hope, Disappointment, and Counterattack, which you first hear on Stage 3, The Waterfall. This one starts out simple enough. Run away from armored vehicles as they try and run you down. Once past this, you'll climb your way up the rock face to a setting sun. There, fighter jets will meet you head on with rocket attacks. Avoid them, shoot down the enemy planes, and move on. Yep, in case you didn't notice, there's nothing outstanding here visually or in the gameplay department. It's the music that carries this sequence start to finish. In fact, I can damn near say that about every part of this game. This was definitely a case where taking away a soundtrack would result in a very different experience. World of Illusion was a great game on the Genesis. The animation and visuals were quite reminiscent of Castle of Illusion, as were some of the stages, but none more so than Stage 4, the Library. Yep, My favorite area in Castle of Illusion returns here with most of the same design elements I appreciated before. You enter the area from a fishbowl, which segued from an underwater stage before it, a very nice touch. Just like Mickey's original adventure, you'll traverse an oversized library complete with various items you can jump into that transport you to other worlds. For instance, you have a sugar jar that allows you to pick up some extra bonus items, a cookie tin that will take you to a candy land where you must battle gingerbread men and gummy airplanes. There's even a really cool cinematic that launches you on a cork into the sky, a surreal moment with great music and a chance to collect some life replenishment. There's even a special stage specific to Donald. It all ends in a boss fight against a witch on her broom, a perfect ending to a fantastic stage. The Turrican series has seen a load of ups and downs for me over the years. Some were great, some were okay, and some I hated. Mega Turrican for the Genesis definitely falls into the first of those categories. This was one great looking and sounding title. Factor 5 always seemed to do quite well with whatever hardware they programmed for, and this one was no exception. You get a lot of great visual touches in this one, but everything about Stage 3 is a tour de force of parallax scrolling, great sprite work, and even some great transparencies. You start out doing battle in the upper atmosphere, jumping ship to ship before making your way down to the stormy surface of the planet. As impressive as the action is here, the music is god tier start to finish. There are multiple selections that are played during each sequence, and every one of them stand out as some of the best the Genesis ever produced. This stage is incredible and even has a number of hidden areas to find, so be sure to check every nook and cranny along the way. So there we are, between parts 1 and 2, I have given you 20 stages that I think are some of the best experiences on the Genesis platform. Since I always loved these stages, this series of videos was very fun to make. So much so, I think I'm going to do more for other platforms. Super Nintendo, PC Engine, Neo Geo, Master System, you name it, and this subject is worth revisiting a number of times. Heck, I might even do a part 3 and 4 for the Genesis here. I'm also thinking about doing a viewer edition of this topic as well, so keep your favorites coming down in the comments. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, look for a link for it down in the description. While I have your attention, I'd also like to bring up that the free giveaway scammers have found my channel and have been responding in the comments section to contact them for prizes and such. Guys, this is not me. I don't do giveaways on YouTube, and I'll never ask you for money under any circumstances. If you get a reply to your comment that you've won something, do not respond to it, as it's nothing more than someone attempting to collect money from you for something you'll never receive. I'm doing my best to scrub these jerks from my channel, but the last line of defense will always be yourselves. If it sounds too good to be true, it absolutely is. I'm Sega Lord X. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.